There we go. Oh, damn, no sound, eh? That sucks. We've definitely got sound now. Ugh. What a pain in the ass. So, basically the cable from my wireless mic to my microphone, it was plugged into the wireless mic, but it was just slightly out on the microphone there. Yeah, we don't have a good microphone arm. It's probably something we need to invest in at some stage, but there's 10 million other things going on. Anyway, so if you didn't hear me talk, this build here is for Blair, and it's an all black RTX 4090 build. So we've got an i5 13600KF, 14 core 20 thread CPU. We've got some nice fast 6400 MHz CL32 RAM. We have a 1000 gigabyte Gen 4 NVMe SSD, a Crucial P5 Plus. And around the back here we have a PNY Accelerate RTX 4090 and a Cooler Master MWE Gold V2, 1250 watt power supply. Top quality unit there with a 10-year warranty, gold efficiency, which is fine. And our motherboard, the only component I haven't spoke about, is the Aorus Z790M Elite AX. So we're just about to open up the motherboard and have a look at what we get. So we get a built-in I/O shield. And no. Oh, yeah, it's over here. I was like, I'm looking around, I'm like, no, they didn't package a motherboard without the Wi-Fi antenna, did they? No. So they do give you this little cheap bracket. So if you're a first time builder, this will make your life a little bit easier.
What case was it again?
So this is the Antec P20C case. But yeah, this little guy here plugs right in for the front panel connector cables, so you can do it all in front of your eyes here and then just plug in the plug. So I don't usually use them. They are kind of handy, I guess. I don't know, give me your opinion. Should I use that connector in people's builds when I have it? Or should I just, you know, do it like normal because I know what pins for what? Okay, so what have we got here? We've got 12 pins of CPU power. We've got a heat pipe between the heat sinks on our MOSFET VRM co-processors. Look at that, runs right through. So we've got obviously our LGA 1700 socket. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 fan headers on this motherboard. Dual channel memory, 4 slots, 2 channels. 1, 2, 3, 4 RGB headers. So 2 5 volt and 2 12 volt. Obviously our 24 pin connector there for the motherboard. We've got USB-C, USB 3. We've got 6 SATA ports on here. We've got our front panel connectors here. We've got Thunderbolt connectors. We've got our TPM. We've got our 2 USB 2.0s. And what else we got down here? We've got COM port, front panel audio. Total of 3 M2 slots on this board. And then around the back here we've got Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.1, got optical out, 2.5 gigabit LAN, and a total of 10 USB ports. So this motherboard here is quite an equipped micro ATX board. Now, who said that going a micro ATX board meant that you had to make sort of sacrifices? This is better than some ATX boards out there. It's a lot better. Jesus.
It's tin-proof.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I really like this Antec case. It's probably one of my favourites.
It's really good, eh? I love it.
The gold trim on the front.
Yeah, it's a really nice looking case. So this top slot here that will be the PCIe 3 port. So I reckon we just install our drive down here, and then if that gets released, it'll be easy enough to put in another M2 drive, even if you just wanted to expand the storage, because we're going to have a big chunky graphics card in here, so that those bottom two slots are going to be covered up. Alright, so our fast RAM. So 6400, that's the speed, but the other thing that I mentioned there, the CL32, that's the latency. So those two things sort of work in tandem with each other. You know, if you can have higher and higher speed, but if the latency is also increasing, then you don't get the benefit of the speed. So the thing about DDR5, when it first came out, the latencies were quite high and the speeds were quite low, and high performance DDR4 was actually beating a whole heap of DDR5 kits. But now we're on to like the second generation of DDR5 memory. The speeds are higher, the latencies are lower. It's a good performing product right now. So if you are wondering when's a good time to upgrade to DDR5 and that, you're coming into that era right now, okay? So I wouldn't say it's here yet. I'd probably wait till Intel 14th gen drops, and maybe even the next generation of AMD to drop, before you consider upgrading if you've got a relatively new system. Like if you bought a PC during COVID and you got a 3080 or something like that, I probably wouldn't think too much of it until you see the new AMD CPUs, I reckon. Then you get some good deals on the Ryzen 7000 chips by that stage as well. So consider that. Now I'm probably talking myself out of some sales there, but that's alright. I'd rather give you my honest opinion. Alright. And so yeah, the i5-13600KF is an excellent CPU. It runs cool. You can overclock it if you wanted to. I don't think it needs overclocking, to be completely honest with you. I wouldn't even bother with it, because the thing is, you do overclocking, right? You increase the you decrease, I should say, the stability. Okay. So we're not using them. We are just using this. So we've got our pre-applied thermal compound on there. And we're just using some pretty basic black fans here on it. It's going to be fine. Don't mind the ketchup and mustard cables. You won't see any of that. But yeah, these are instead of the RGB fans because the customer just doesn't want any RGB. I think this PC's going to the office, or he has a home office and like has clients around and stuff, and he just doesn't want it looking like yeah, he doesn't want it looking unprofessional if he's got someone more conservative over. Yeah. I totally understand that. I totally get it. Because like I probably put off a certain type of customer as well, but you know you've got to target a niche. You don't get anywhere in business. We usually don't get anywhere in business, not without a lot of money, just doing the exact same thing as your competition. Always got to do something good. Oh, look at that fucking mic fell again. Do we still have audio? Do we still have audio?
Yes.
Seriously, like tomorrow or some shit, need to get a microphone stand that'll like clip on.
I'm on it.
She's on it. It's just one of those things, you know. You don't sort of think about it until you really need it. Okay. So we just need our Intel arms here. We've got our backplate. So that just goes on like that. It goes into the larger position. So just pull the clips out and you'll be all good to go there. Now in here, this is the same for the LT and LS 720. If you've got the LGA 1700 sockets, you want these little standoffs here with the ridges in it. The ones that are smooth are for LGA 1151 socket, or LGA 1200 socket, or LGA 1150 socket. There's a fair few that use the same brackets. Oh, for fuck's sake. It's just gonna stay down on the desk. What a clusterfuck, eh? No, it's because it's hot. It's because it's hot. It is literally blue tacked on. Yes, we need a thing. It just needs to be one that like clips on. Compatible with a shotgun mic. So be very careful if you tip bolts onto a radiator. You don't want to damage the fins inside there. Just a pro tip. If you're building a PC and you're sort of watching me and you're going, oh yeah, I'll stick all my stuff on the radiator. No, don't do that. Do as I say, not as what I do. Fuck, do I want to try that one again? I think you all understand. Do need it. Don't need it. Don't need it. Sweet. So one cool feature that's not on the LS series, but is on the LT, is it's got magnetized screw holes. So you definitely don't drop your screws when you're screwing in these arms.
I'm pretty sure it'll fit this.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Does it clip on though?
It screws on. Because the mic has a plastic thing that has a screw bit in it, and it screws onto this.
See, I don't really want it on the desk, if that makes sense. I want it to like...
Yeah, there's other options, don't I?
if it can attach to the side of the desk or to the monitor, that's pretty much what I need. Just add it to the list of shit that I've had to do.
Here we go. Oh, that's
So I've now...
Senecom.
It doesn't have to be road branded. I'll have a look later, babe. It's all good. Don't pull your hair out. Okay. Alrighty.
I found this one.
Oh yeah, where's that? Like at this stage, I'm willing to go into Camera House or something like that, and buy one off them.
This Jamie's one.
This is Jamie's one. Is Jamie here?
Yes.
Hey Jamie, how you going? So yes, this is your one. Don't worry, you didn't miss much at the start. I had no audio. But now we're looking for a bloody mic stand for me. We've had all sorts of bullshit go on. Nothing to do with your PC though. Your PC's been coming along great. So yeah, we're just doing your cooler now. You've got your SSD installed, we've got your RAM installed. Obviously your CPU. And yes, if you're worried about the lighting on the CPU cooler on the quote I sent you, I do have nice black fans there for you. So brand new ones. You won't see the coloured power cables either. I assure you. Okay, so it'll either go like that or like that, I reckon. Like that. Yeah, I reckon like that'll be the best. Yeah. And so yes, basically we just make sure we got these cables going in the right direction. Yep.
And Jamie says thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Since you're a legend, you're pretty.
Yeah, oh look, man, it's awesome. Like, I reckon this is a great case for a blackout build. This looks good enough to you know, be happy about for yourself, but still nice and sharp and professional if you need it to be. Yeah, the only bit of lighting that you have is on the graphics card, and I'm pretty sure if you download some proprietary software from the graphics card's manufacturer, you can even turn that off. I think it's just like on by default, but then yeah, if you download the software for it, you can even turn that off. And then there's like a little tiny light on the CPU cooler that just goes behind Deepcool's logo there, that's just in like the bottom left hand corner. And that's just a little green light behind their logo, and it's basically just an indicator light that the cooler's on. Yeah, something like that. That's perfect. That's perfect, man. That's bloody perfect. How much is that?
$20.
$20. $20.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I buy this freaking months ago? Because I'm an idiot.
You didn't know you needed it.
It's just hotter. The thing is, I'm in a drier climate out here, and I honestly I love it. I love the drier climate.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
because I
It's very good.
because I sweat, but the sweat
It's like-
actually works.
We need to go to Riverlink.
Riverlink. There you go.
Let's go.
We're gonna be there anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can set it as click and collect.
Oh, I don't think we need click and collect. Kind of shortish cables do I have? Fan split. Hmm. Alright, well, let's cross that bridge when we come to it. What I'm looking for is a splitter cable that I can plug these three fans into, because the cables are kind of short on these fans, and I have a feeling because I want to set them up through this header here. Now the reason why I want to use that one as opposed to this one here is this one here is just direct power. It doesn't go up or down, the fans just run at a constant speed, whereas through these ones here you can get them to run at set speeds. So when they're not in use and it doesn't need to cool anything down, these fans will drop right down to like their minimum working RPM. So if you know anything about like things like that, there's like a rev range for it, for their rotation. So if it's below a certain amount, it doesn't work properly, and if it's above a certain amount, it doesn't work properly, sort of thing. So anyway, we've got all that prepped up, so let's open up the case. I'm going to put our graphics card down there because it's like the last thing that we install. We have to deal with our power supply there. What does Antec give us for accessories? Oh, look at that! They give us a splitter. How nice of them. How bloody nice of them. They give us a splitter. I know, how's that? So yes, we're going to use the splitter on these ones. The other ones there, we can just route them to the other headers on the motherboard. Oh, a slightly bent pin there. That's all right. Not going to stop us. Okay, so just so this doesn't make a mess. Tie up these Molex connectors. Have you seen my pliers? Yes. Thank you very much. Alright, so that's all ready to go there. So we've got one cable there into the motherboard, and then all this stuff gets hidden away at the back. Alright. Well, let's move this over there. Let's have a look at this power supply. Okay, so this is the Cooler Master 1250 watt ATX3 power supply. So ATX3 has the 12 plus 4 pin connector there directly from the power supply. So you don't need those skanky looking splitter cables for the graphics card, for the 40 series card. We don't have to use that. And instead, we get this. A nice 90-degree header on one end and a straight on the other. So that can plug in nicely, nice and clean into our graphics card. Oh, it is. Sorry. Like I said, we need...
We're getting one tomorrow.
We're getting one tomorrow. We're getting one tomorrow. So yes, that 90-degree cable is a nice inclusion with this power supply. I know plenty of people who pay extra for that. So that's all the power we need for the graphics card. This cable here can deliver 600 watts maximum. So it's not fucking around. So that's our motherboard power there. I don't even think we have a SATA device, but we're going to install a SATA cable nonetheless, just so we've got some SATA if Jamie wants to install some hard drives or something like that at a later date. And one thing we don't get with this is a nice bag for our spare cables, but we might have one. We might have a spare one lying around somewhere. So we don't need this. We don't need that. We need that. We need that. And then the rest of these all spare cables. I don't think we need the special little bag. I can just tuck them all the way down the bottom there. Just like that in a nice bunch.
I think I might have had a solution to your knife problem, but it doesn't fit on that.
Oh well. It is what it is.
I just had looked at the Google reviews of that mic stand. It's not very good, so let's see if I can find one.
Like I said, I'm willing to go into Camera House and get one there. They sell all that kind of shit.
Yeah, there's one up. I have a card with
Oh, what am I doing? I'm like, that feels like hardly any cables because I haven't plugged 3 of them in. Much easier to plug your cables in with the power supply outside of the case.
we go into one of those camera places, they might be able to sell you a bundle for like a roof, for a camera as well.
Yeah. We'll look into all of that. And yeah, we'll put in one SATA power cable, not because it's needed, just because it's it could be needed in the future. Yeah.
Brendan says, hey, big boy build tonight, let's see.
Big boy build, yes. Yes, yes. This one is excellent. I mean, about the only thing that we didn't go completely balls to the wall on was the CPU. Just because spending the last bit on the CPU, it's not usually a great deal of a performance boost. Once you get to like 13th gen K series, any of them, you're talking pretty good bloody performance. With the graphics cards that are out today, there is diminished returns, put it that way. So yeah, I'm not generally a fan of these brackets here. I guess it makes it easier if you have to upgrade your power supply or change any of the cables and stuff. But it's certainly not easier to like screw them in if someone thinks that they're there to make it easier. I don't think so. I think they've failed at making it easier. But it's not Antec's fault. This is an Antec feature. Like, there are a lot of cases that feature this. NZXT had like 2 of them. One for the graphics card and one for the sorry, not one for the graphics card, one for the cooler, and one for the power supply. It's like, what? Okay. So our power supply is all installed and ready to go. So we can open up these cables here. We've got USB-C, USB 3, front panel audio, front panel connectors, and we have 3 PWM fans on the front. So these are nice black fans on the Antec case here, the P20C case. I'm almost tempted to do one with my funky Thermaltake tough fans. I know that's RGB, but they're like, they look a bit different to the standard RGB fans. These fans are like black in the center, and all around the edge is RGB. So imagine these fans with the same center there, but then the RGBs around the side, and it's addressable lighting, so it can be whatever you want. Doesn't have to be like Rainbow Vomit and stuff like that. You can have you can have whatever colors or whatever sequences of colors that you want. Thermaltake has like the ability to do the same sort of stuff that Corsair does with their RGB. The software probably just as reliable as Corsair, all things considered. Okay, so let's get our board inside the case now. I'm just going to put a couple of other offset screws in. Very good. Okay. All right. So like I say, or for you I should say, if you're building a PC, always do the bolt that's in the middle of the motherboard first, and then once you've got that in place, do one from the opposite corner, so the top corner here next to the CPU plug. So do that. Yeah.
What are your key specs you look for on a budget AM5 motherboard? Again, keep up the hard work. Really enjoying the live builds while I'm at work.
Ah, nice.
Did you hear the question?
The question was, what's my take on budget AM5?
What are your key key specs you look for on a budget AM5?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit of an oxymoron, a budget AM5, because, I mean, they're all a little bit more expensive, right? So, I mean, the budget options get kind of a little bit lost in there, don't they? Like, you know, when looking at the overall market, there's cheaper. If you want to look at the cheaper options, there are other cheaper options. Oh, look at that! Lots of bugs. Is that fly screen? No, it's not. That fly screen's not in place.
Yeah.
No, it's not. The edges aren't.
Close the window.
Need a flamethrower now.
Mhm.
No, that's alright. That's the thing about budget AM5, right? Because it's a bit more expensive inherently compared to like AM4 and the Intel options. So it can be, like I said, it can get a little lost in there, can't it? Because normally right now, if someone wants AM5, it's more of a high-end build. Just sit there. No, not gonna sit there. That's alright. What's up?
Need a bumps up.
That's what I said, we need a flamethrower. Go get your deodorant. I know how to make a flamethrower.
I know how to make a flamethrower, okay? I just don't want to do that to my ceiling. I don't want the black smoke marks.
No,
everywhere.
I know.
That's why we need a bug zapper. Oh, it's not nice when you get a moth caught in one of them. They smell.
Yep, I know. So yeah, always remember to get everything you want plugged in up the top before you put your cooler in. Yeah.
Jamie wants to know, is my motherboard AM5 and what is AM5?
No, so
AM5
is the new generation. Well, not the new generation. The AMD generation that went up against 13th gen
AMD
Intel.
Ryzen.
So Ryzen. So we're talking about the other platform. So the non-Intel builds. And so yeah. That's why I'm saying the idea of a budget AM5 gets a little bit lost because they're really expensive for what they are. Unless you get like a high-end one, then they sort of compete a bit better with Intel, but that's like on a higher end. Okay, so I got my screws in place. I've got everything else in place. It's time to get our cooler mounted.
Tim?
Yeah.
Nicholas says good morning.
Hey Nicholas, how you going? Good to have you here.
Everything usually says our man Tim eats these builds for breakfast. Meanwhile, I'm shipping bricks, just picking my components. You're the man, Tim. Thanks again for the tips. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no problems, man. No problems. Okay. There we go. All right. So all we need to do here is get a couple of screws in our radiator. Also, make sure you don't have any cables sort of caught up in between the radiator and the case. And if you want to save time, just screw in a couple of bolts just to get it sort of mounted. And then you can screw the rest in while you're waiting for Windows to do things.
Tim?
Yeah.
James says, but go all good. It's a lot to take in, but you're looking after it. Thanks again.
No, that's all right, mate. That's all right. Like even if you've built PCs before, if you haven't kept up to date with everything, you if your time is valuable to you, yeah, sometimes it's easier to come and get someone to do the PC for you because it takes you hours and hours to do all the research. And for many people, it's like, oh, I'll do all this research, then I'm not going to need any of this knowledge again for like another 5 years until I buy the next PC. So it can be a bit of a pain, and yeah, the software and hardware slightly changes, and then the problems come up, and then you got to work out what the problems are with different things. It can be a nightmare, put it bluntly. I should have done it earlier if I wanted to plug it into that header. That's alright. You barely see this anyway. Oh, god damn it.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. What's going on?
Oh, Brendan and Jamie having a conversation. This is Jamie's upgrade from a 3080. Mistake buying a pre-built PC. Wish we used him 12 months ago.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Jamie said, Brendan says, I just went 4K and it's so nice.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's definitely, you'll definitely notice the difference stepping up to 4K.
Brendan says, pre-builts aren't always great. It's still nice for people getting PC gaming though.
Yeah. I've never had any luck selling pre-builts.
No.
I go and price them up, and I go and do them, and I add like a fucking standard like $200 to each one or less, I mean, that's pretty cheap. That's cheaper than a custom build. And yeah, no one buys them. I guess I should do them with $100, but then
No.
that's just I feel like that's just giving it away. I mean, like, if you go into somewhere like, I think Umart's probably one of the cheapest places to get a PC built if you're after just the absolute cheapest possible thing. But still, having said that, you get what you pay for, right? Like, if you buy a PC from me, and say if you're in Brisbane, you can probably pick it up in a few days. Whereas you buy it from Umart, it's like 10-day turnaround, and then they don't count the weekend as days. So it's 2-week turnaround on your PC, and you have to pay in full, just like you have to do with me. There's no difference. They will not open a box until the balance is completely paid. And that's the same with all PC places.
Jamie says kind of a waste on me. I only get a few hours a week, but at least it would be nice when I do.
At least you can be happy.
Can game.
Yeah.
Tim gets no time for gaming. Well, hopefully over the next few months.
Once a few things happen, I'll have a little bit more time on my hands.
Brendan says, yeah, I think rebuilds are a tough market. Most people looking at them don't know what they're looking at and where the value is.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I struggle with. So I mean, I try them, and no one buys them. So then I just don't bother. I don't bother doing it again. I don't bother putting them together because it takes time. Even if I'm not actually pre-building them and having them sit there, even if I just design them online, so a photo and the specs and the price and stuff like that, that takes a lot of time. And if I don't sell any, then it's very demotivating. You're just like, why am I spending time on this?
Everything good you said. I recently sold my PS5 after gaming on my cousin's 4080 rig, and when I jumped back on my PS5, it just wasn't the same.
Yep.
So now I'm here watching Tim every night for tips for my first rig.
Ah, nice one, nice. Yeah, PCs are a bit of fun. I mean, we don't really have like custom cars too much these days. It's almost becoming a bygone era, I guess, especially with the younger generation. Car ownership is sort of right down. Okay, well, it looks like it's graphics card time. We just have this one here, so we've got this nice L-shaped power connector there for the graphics card. So that'll keep things nice and neat. And yeah, so I mean, we've got Intel K series, Z790 motherboard, massive power supply, nice fast low latency RAM, and the star of the show, the 4090. And dude, this is a big upgrade. This is a big upgrade from 3080. And yeah, this is the horrible chunky traditional power supply to 40 series connector. So you have to have this thing. I mean, I can sort of do it where it doesn't look too bad, but it is kind of a little bit awkward looking, right? 4 8-pins into the single 12+4 pin. Yeah.
Brandon says 13600.
13600 KF. So the 14 core 20 thread. I got one on my personal rig. And yeah, it could have gone and spent like another $500 on the CPU and got an i9, but I mean, realistically, it's not a huge difference in performance, because you got to remember, like, single digit percentage increase when it's running games at like 150, 200, 300 frames a second. That doesn't matter anymore. If you know what I mean. It becomes a point where the returns become diminished.
Diminishing into the west?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's the hardest thing to sort of wrap your head around with tech is like what makes sense in terms of what you spend and the system that you're building. Because the way that things are marketed, you know, they want you to spend as much money as possible on everything. Okay, trust me. I've been a sales manager for a multinational corporation before. Not the head of sales, but a sales manager working for a big company like that. So, you know, I can totally tell you that that's what it's all about. These companies, they're not your friends. Okay? Nvidia is not your friend. They're not a friend of the gaming community. They don't care at all about gamers. That's not the core focus of their business. You might be thinking, whoa, what is? Well, you heard of Chat GPT, right? Mm-hmm. Without Nvidia GPUs, there'd be no such thing as Chat GPT. Specifically, so Jensen, the head of Nvidia there, his last name is spacing on me right now. But yeah, his focus is not on making gamers and getting gamers better performance and stuff like that. That's not his focus. His core focus is the AI sort of level there. That's what he is focused on. Gaming is a secondary aspect. So they'd have a team that look after gaming, but there's another team that are focusing on other things. And that is what Nvidia's core focus is. So, yeah, just consider that. They have no interest in being nice to people or supporting the gaming community. Anything they do, any time a company pretends to care about things, they don't. And yeah, we all know this. Some might say I'm cynical, but I just think I'm realistic. Okay, so our cable just plugs in just like that. And we just position it just like that. It just comes over the top of it like that. Nice and clean looking. No cables sticking out at the bottom or anything like that. There's no fan at the back there, but the idea and principle of airflow with this is we've got three 120mm fans on the front. They're drawing in cool air all over the graphics card, and then up here, these fans, they're exhausting heat out the top. So that's the CPU radiator, so as soon as that starts to heat up, the heat from it is getting exhausted out the top of the case. It's not being exhausted into the case. So what this equals is like ideal sort of thermal configuration. If we had another fan up here, the only kind of benefit that would be to draw air over a air cooler CPU and exhaust the heat out the back. So that spot there that doesn't have a fan, that is the reason why we don't have that fan. It's not like we could put it in there, and if it was RGB, maybe we would put it in there, even though we don't need it. But because we don't need it, I haven't put it there. So we've got a really good heatsink there on our MOSFET VRM coprocessors. It's got a heat pipe that runs through there and connects the two heat sinks together. And we've got a all-in-one liquid cooler there on the CPU. So one thing that people sort of don't understand properly is that when you have the CPU overheating, it leads to other things on the motherboard overheating. Just like you plug a powerful graphics card into a motherboard that doesn't have all these heat sinks on it, it'll overheat and shut down. Not the graphics card, the motherboard. So all of these things work in together. And with the design there, with the 3 fans on the front and the 3 fans on the top there, it's what I consider to be ideal in terms of not wasting any space, not installing anything that we don't need to install, and still top tier performance.
Tim,
Yeah.
Radio says, do you remember when I asked you about the custom sleeve cables? I also have a blacked out gaming PC, but I decided to add some red and black colour with the cables on the
Yep.
GPU and motherboard.
Yeah, that's definitely still an option. The only thing is with this cable here, there's not too many braided cables there that do the 12 plus 4 pin cable. But I mean, realistically, I think this looks pretty nice. I might need to tie down a couple of these cables here from this fan, but that's all right. I'll do that at a later date. Let's get her fired up and see whether she works. So we'll probably need a new BIOS for this one, because this Z790 board here will probably need a BIOS update. So yes, like I said, that's the only bit of lighting, but if it bothers you, you can turn it off with some software from their website. But I mean, realistically,
there's a little tiny bit of
there's a little
light
tiny
on the
green light
CPU,
there on the CPU cooler.
and then there's
The graphics card, we can turn that off with software anyway. I don't have it loaded on my SSD, but all right, 3 on there, babe. So if there's something more than F3,
F6.
yeah, F6 is more than F3. That'll do it. Oh, sorry. Need the USB keys. Excuse the phone. So like I said, got some downtime here, so I'm going to finish screwing in the radiator. Well, so far so good. I mean, we've posted I haven't tried the XMP profile on our RAM, but we'll wait till we do a BIOS update. So one thing to remember when you're shopping for DDR5 is there are kits that are optimized for AMD and there are kits that are optimized for Intel. So be sure to read the description properly and make sure that you use the right sort of RAM for the right right configuration.
Tim,
Yeah.
everybody else is very clean bin.
Oh yeah, this is a beauty. Like I said, I'm really tempted to do something like this, but there's another Antec case that I might use instead.
Brendan says MSI's Mystic Light might be able to set the RGB on your GPU. I know it works for some MSI.
Yes, it may do so. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is a gigabyte board, so we could see whether RGB Fusion recognizes it. That would make it a lot easier. But if not, I'm sure there's some software or an app or something like that on PNY's website to turn that off. But yes, we intentionally replaced the fans that came with the cooler. Okay, so yeah, you don't want your computer to power off while you're updating BIOS. That can be a very bad time, because if you stuff up the firmware for the motherboard, it might not do anything anymore. For reals. Alright. Interesting, the pattern there on the wood. I don't know what sort of vibe I get from it, but it's just the vibe. You know, the vibe. It's Marbo, it's the vibe. Who knows that one? Who knows that movie line? There's only one famous. It's the Vibe movie. It's an Aussie classic. If you're from the UK, probably not Americans. I think it'd go over Americans' heads because their humour's a little bit different to ours. But if you're in Europe or in the UK, you gotta look up an Australian movie called The Castle. Holy shit, you'll piss yourself. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, you will absolutely piss yourself.
It's hilarious. It's like an Australian cult classic these days.
Yeah, just imagine like a Cockney British family, like lower class, but they're like real nice, charming people, but they're sort of idiots, and they're in like a real poor area, like next to the airport. Then the airport wants to expand and
But
buy
they're
them out.
such nice people, such a wholesome family.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie wants to know, why does a brand new computer need to update?
Um,
That's a good question.
that's it. That's a really good question. So, motherboards aren't perfect. They get released, and because the technology that people want to hook up to the motherboard is constantly changing. So when this board was released, the manufacturer had everything up to date on the board. But since this board's released, there's been new graphics cards, new kits of RAM, new this, new that. So that's what we're updating here. So you'll always see me do a BIOS update because I'm just being thorough with people's builds. We make sure the BIOS gets updated when the build gets done. So, alrighty. What have we got here? Speed enhance. Okay. Gigabyte perf drive. Okay. Was that there before? Alrighty, so we've got those fast speeds and timing there on our RAM. Look at that, 6400 megahertz CL32. Hells yeah. So yes, the motherboards obviously being the thing that like connects everything together. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with them. So they're constantly releasing updates to the motherboard until the board reaches a date where the company just no longer supports it, and then if new stuff comes out and it's not compatible with it, buy a better computer. So okay, so that all went sweet, no problems there. So I can go and plug in our Windows installation USB and we can restart. So yes, like this kit of memory, it might have come out after after this motherboard was first released. So the XMP profile that we enabled there before we reset it, that might not work correctly until we do the BIOS update. I don't know. I don't read in depth to every single thing that gets addressed with a BIOS update. Oh, what's happening here? The screen's fucked up. That'll happen sometimes. I think it's partially a product of me feeding everything through capture cards. Because basically, this PC is hooked up to the streaming PC directly, and then the streaming PC outputs to my monitor here that I'm working on. So some weird things can happen sometimes. So obviously I won't enter customer's product key here live.
Upgrade the motherboard and stuff.
What's that?
There's so many issues when I upgrade my motherboard and stuff.
No, because it's been out for a while. That's the best thing about it. What sucks is remember when I've bought motherboards like on the day of their release, and there's been like
Oh, yeah.
random problems with them. Yeah. Yeah, if possible, don't buy a motherboard on like the day or the week that it's released, because you could have like a big problem with it and it won't be addressed for like a couple of weeks until they release the first update. And yeah, the BIOS update on the motherboard, it's not something you can do from within Windows. The whole system has to shut down and it has to open up in this special installer, basically. And it has to run, and if something disturbs that while it's running, bad things can happen. You might not be able to get your motherboard going again. Not without physically desoldering a chip and reloading everything like manually on it, and then resoldering it in. So yeah, basically impossible. You'll just get a new motherboard if that happens. Some boards have a dual BIOS system that prevents failure, but not every board has it. Couldn't tell you off the top of my head whether this board has it, but because it's like a better board, it has a high chance of having that. Because it's the more enthusiast one, being the Z790, they'll likely assume that amateur enthusiasts are going to be playing around with it. If you just go onto ASRock's website, you can have a look and see how many updates they've released for it. Okay, so one thing I noticed there was we don't have network drivers. So luckily I've got some network drivers on my trusty USB SSD. So this one here it's got another crucial drive, just like the one we installed here, but this is just a more basic one. It's not a Gen 4 or anything like that. I mean, I'm using it over USB all the time in this little enclosure. So I mean, it's nice and fast and low latency, copies things and all that nice and fast, but yeah, it's not really designed for speed or anything like that. It's just faster and more reliable than a USB drive. That's why, if you ever wondered why I use this thing here, it's just more reliable. I just hate it when they fuck up and they die from like heavy use. So for me, using it all the time can be a bit of a problem. Okay, let's get some Wi-Fi drivers going on here. Now, hopefully it works. Remember we had last night, we had two motherboards exactly the same, and the Wi-Fi driver wouldn't work on one of them and did on the other. I'm thinking there was a different version of BIOS on both of them, and that's why like it had changed the software, like it changed the way it communicates with the Wi-Fi or something like that, and used a more up-to-date driver. That'll do it, right? Okay. Alright, so now we've got an internet connection. What? Oh my god. I've got a customer who wants a Sonic themed build.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
You need this.
Yeah. Why don't you search my Facebook messages for Sonic and see if you can find the person and send them a picture of it.
Yeah.
He's been buried, unfortunately.
Oh, fuck.
So just use the search. Use the search function. It finds messages.
It loads. Who is it? Do you know?
I think it's the person you got. Yeah, I think it's him. Okay, so I always put down some custom desktop icons just so when I install software and bits and pieces, I don't make a mess of the desktop. I personally use my desktop as in like a basically, just as the name sounds, like a desktop. So anything that I'm currently working on and stuff like that gets saved to the desktop, and then I either delete directly off my desktop or it goes into the folders from my desktop. And I think that's fundamentally how it was designed to be used. This is like the stuff that your desktop has the stuff that you're like currently working on. So then you can find everything really easily. You don't not go into different folders.
Wasn't that person, but I found the person.
Ah, sweet. Send them a message. Go, sorry for the late reply, but found this. So I do BattleNet. So BattleNet's for Call of Duty. I mean, I think this is pretty much all mate plays. But I'll install the other ones just in case he wants to do any other gaming on any other platform. Yeah, that's awesome, eh?
What?
The board, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So CPU Z just tells you stuff about your computer. Crystal Disk Info gives you health status on your storage devices. Crystal Disk Mark just lets you test the speed, make sure they're, you know, functioning epic. If you ever want to go and like smash some kids in Fortnite or something like that, it's free to play. You can go do that. I saw Christine playing Fortnite. I'm just like, you playing Fortnite? She's like, yeah, I'm going to fuck some kids up. I was like, yeah, that sounds mad fun, actually.
The first time I played it, I was like one of the last people who survived. It was like, you know, converging on itself. I played it for a while. It's fun. Fuck those kids.
Hey, look, Simpson's in a contest for children. Quiet down. I can't believe it. He's an idiot. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he's in a competition for children. Yeah, and Homer beat their brains out. Oh, couldn't quite remember all the words to that one, but you know what I'm talking about.
Close enough's good enough.
Yeah. Yep. I'll install Office 365 for you. Okay, so yeah, like I said, my internet's not the greatest here at the moment, but I do have something that's probably going to make it better. Things are happening. All of a sudden, you'll see me back doing multi-streams again at 1080p, 60 frames a second. Because I don't know if anyone's noticed, but we're doing 30 frames a second at the moment. Look at that. Chrome's got 35 minutes to go. It's because everything's trying to download all at once from a bottlenecked connection. This is going to be like your mum's internet, I think.
All she does is watch TV anyway. She doesn't play any games.
Yeah, no.
All she does is play solitaire.
She calls it patience. I'd never heard that until her. I've never heard of it called that until I heard her say it. I was like, huh? What? And then I realised what she's talking about. See, when I first heard her say it, and she said patience. I thought like patience, like in a hospital, and it was like some sort of like health related thing. No.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man, I didn't know what the fuck it was. Like I said, I'd never heard that before her. Okay. Okay, so I think that's all I want to install from here. So we've still got a fair bit of stuff to get loaded. So if you're wondering about how to tell whether you've installed all the right drivers and stuff like that, come up here to this PC. This is for Windows 10. Click on Computer, click on Manage, and it will come up with this computer management screen. If you're on Windows 11, click Start, All Apps. Scroll right down to the bottom, and it will say like Windows Accessories or Windows Tools or something, and you'll see Computer Management inside that. And then open up Computer Management, click on Device Manager, and you're looking for these little triangle symbols with the asterisks, okay, and it will say like unknown device or just something generic. So you want to make sure that you're not seeing any of them. If you see these, it means you haven't completely set up all of the devices and all the drivers for your motherboard. So up here, display adapters, we can see our 4090 is there. We can see we've got Bluetooth. We can see we've got our LAN, we've got our Wi-Fi, we've got our Bluetooth, and we've got all of our network ports. And so yeah, we've got some devices here that are still not hooked up.
Haha. Henry likes sense that's dope.
Yeah, I thought he'd like it. So yeah, now that he'll be top of the line, I'll be able to do his quote, because what he wants to do like a Leon Lee one, but we'll do some like custom stickers and custom, maybe some engraving.
Yeah.
Do some glass engraving, like frosted effect on the.
You could do the ring.
What's that?
Like
The Sonic ring, yeah. Or even just, yeah. No, that'd be cool. A nice supersonic or something like that. I don't know. It's completely up to Henry what he wants to do with it. Yeah.
Emily says hi and she wants to know how's the new house.
Yeah. So the new house is the old house.
We used to live here, but we rented it out to some.
Yeah. So basically, we lived out here, and then we were like, oh well. I was like, I'm gonna move for work, and so we moved for my work, and then we rented this place out. And then we were renting for years, and yeah, now her mum has some medical stuff. She's going on to the NDIS, so we've moved back here so we can build a granny flat, and NDIS can help out with that, and we can contribute a bit, and yeah, we can sort of, give her a better option as opposed to going into a home. Because that's the thing, if you don't know much about NDIS, they provide funding so you can make changes to your property to accommodate someone with a disability.
Build it entirely new.
Yeah, or like if you need to build like a granny flat because there's no room in the house, they can help out with that sort of stuff. And so yeah, we were like, okay, yep, let's move back here. So the only problem is I don't have good internet out here. It's a beautiful spot. It's really nice. Like, it's a relatively small house and stuff like that. But that's all right. It's just me and Christine. We don't have kids. But yeah, we do need to sort out something better with the internet. As you can see here, things are taking a little bit of time.
We do have that new modem.
Yeah, why don't you get it out of the car and have a look at it? So yeah, we've got a 4G 5G modem with multi-antenna and multi-SIM function. So we're gonna get an antenna set up and pointed towards the 4G tower, and then we're gonna get a couple of SIMs and plug them in, and they'll work in tandem there over our new Wi-Fi 6. It's a Wi-Fi 6 router with SIM support. Basically, you can plug an antenna into it, and so yeah, we'll have basically, I guess we'll have two Wi-Fi networks then. But the router can obviously be connected to by cable. So yeah, that'll be interesting. So hopefully I get much better speeds. I'm talking to my friend who owns a PC business down in Hobart, and he actually sent me up the modem to have a play around with, just to see what we could do. Because yeah, he's happy to help out. He had a few lying around, so he was like, yeah, we can send you up one. So yeah, we'll have a play around with that, see if it can get us into a better setup. Okay, so MSI Afterburners installed. So look, we got our 4090. We've got some drivers. They're not up to date drivers, but I reckon it'll run our benchmarks nicely. Alright, so over here in our monitoring phase, we're setting up what we want to see in Reaver Tuner. And so yeah, we've got a 20 thread CPU, 14 cores and 20 threads. It's pretty insane. Well, it's insane to me anyway. I remember getting excited at a dual core CPU. Whoa, man. Who remembers the Pentium 4? Oh, God. Kill me now, some people will say. Let's just force a restart on it. Just to be super safe. Yeah, I was having trouble with this thing a few times. Seen it get to the end of this and just fail. So Gigabyte Control Center is like the software that comes with your motherboard. Fluffy Mow's doing a lot better. He's not as stressed. His fur's growing back. He likes the new place because he probably can't smell any other cats around or crazy dogs, and he can hear lots of things that he probably wants to eat. Well, it worked this time, it looks like. Sweet.
You bastard. You were hiding in there the whole time.
Oh, I could have told you that. He was at my feet. So no more cone of shame. He's looking very fluffy again.
Once winter rolls round, he'll fluff out a little bit more. At the moment, he's got his summer coat.
Okay.
Cool. pictures of like modems this chunky.
So you can see you can plug 2 SIM cards into it. Do you see that?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
James says Starlink. You're the PC guy. No.
No, I've heard mixed things about Starlink. So
Some people have said yes. I don't want to support.
I just don't want to.
It's a really good idea, but I don't like the guy behind.
I want to buy into a whole heap of stuff without knowing that it's going to be decent.
And
That's why I'm really appreciative of my friend who sent me the modem here to try out, because it means I can have a go at something without pouring a shitload of money into it straight away, which can be annoying, especially trying to get Wi-Fi going on. Very nice.
power cable for it. I'll leave that in the box for now.
So yeah, this is going to be pretty bloody solid, according to my friend. Quite yes.
It's got firmware to download, etc.
Oh yeah. It won't just work straight out of the box. You have to do stuff to it. But yes, that's okay. We can work on that in time. So we'll get a couple of probably Telstra SIMs. Alright, so I forgot to put on hardware monitor. Okay. Okay, so yeah.
Everybody else says 8 core CPUs enough for everything.
Yeah, exactly. Once you start getting, yeah, you get a bit carried away.
George says hi, that's interesting.
Hey George, how you going? Good to have you with us. All right, so let's give this a go. So we're at GPU temperature, usage, clock speed, and wattage. We've got our VRAM usage and clock speed. Our CPU wattage. It's not showing the other values. That's strange. RAM. And that there is how many frames per second it's currently running at. So just, just a casual 700 frames a second here. So yeah, it just makes complete mockery of this benchmark here, but this is the same one that we run on every card. There we go. Cracked 800. Can we crack 1,000? Normally crack 900, but not quite 1,000 with a 4090. But let's give it a go. We could always turn it down to low quality settings.
Yeah, I got it. They're all together.
Out you come, little one. Sorry about the interruption there. Ugh. Who's doing that? Just crack 900. 940. Barely breaking a sweat. Alrighty. Alright, so that was most of our stuff. And okay, we're not when not detecting the graphics card. Yeah, no, we'll need to, we'll have a look at that PNY software. So if you've got fast RAM, you can make your SSD run at super speeds with crucial software. Yeah.
And so it's doing Windows updates and stress tests at the same time as definitely stability tests for the PC.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we're got a new version, do we? Okay. Fun. Alright, let's do a more demanding benchmark. This is Valley on Ultra with max anti-aliasing, but I do want to quickly have a look at something. Why aren't they selected anymore? Did I not click apply? That's so weird. Okay. So yeah, Valley on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. So this is a more demanding benchmark. Even if we ran it on high with no anti-aliasing, it would still be a lower frame rate than heaven. So just as a bit of a guide here. But still absolutely smashes it. 400 frames a second in Valley. That's pretty bloody high. Trust me, just go have a look at some of my other builds running Valley, or just go get your 3080 and download these benchmarks and just run it and have a look. We're talking like, you know, doubling the speed of a 3080. So you're definitely going to notice this when you get it. You'll be like, holy shit, this is a lot better. Not that there's anything wrong with 3080. I mean, it's still a good card, man. But yes, 40 series has DLSS 3 and all that good stuff. So DLSS, that's NVIDIA's artificial intelligence stuff. And so they can use their AI technology to render a smaller amount of pixels and then fill in the blanks in real time with the artificial intelligence. And they call this DLSS, or Deep Learning Supersymmetry. Whatever the hell that means.
So pretty.
Okay. So that was Valley there on Ultra with max anti-aliasing. Then finally we'll do superposition at 4K. Or does the superposition benchmark want to, like, stall on me? No, there it goes. Unit 1.
Holy shit, there's 20 fans.
Mm-hmm. It's like $1,000 worth of fans. Sorry, we'll do superposition here in a second. I'm just getting this installed. Okay. Alright, let's do superposition here at 4K. So this is a bit more of a workout on the graphics card. Oh, what the fuck did that? I thought we were done with all this. Piss off.
Piss off.
For the third time. Third bloody time. So yeah, the other two benchmarks were 1080p, and this one is 4K. Those temps are beautiful. The real test is when Jamie gets it and he hooks everything up. Well, I'm going to help him. We're going over to Jamie's place to set this up for him and help him migrate his stuff from his old PC onto the new one and reset it and stuff like that. And then yeah, he won't know himself with his 4090 upgrade from 3080 because it's pretty much double performance. It's a bigger difference at 4K than it is at 1080p, just to give you an idea of how the performance increase kind of scales. So if you're running at 1080p and you tested the 3080 versus the 4090, there'd be less of a difference there than running the 3080 versus 4090 at 4K. And 1440p is somewhere in the middle. Alrighty, so that was superposition there at 4K. So look at that massive score there. So max 320 frames per second. There we go. Alright, well, how are we going over here? Nearly. Got our game clients. If we go into computer management again, we'll now see no yellow triangles with an exclamation point. All of our devices are installed. So we're all ready to go. This is just updates for, we've got a graphics card update, got some Windows updates there. So not really a big deal. But one thing we'll do before we go is we can use our RAM to supercharge our SSD. So yes, the faster your RAM, the faster your SSD read and write speeds will be when you enable this momentum cache. Okay. So what do I mean supercharge our RAM speed? Have a look at this. So this is a Gen 4 NVMe SSD. Normally like 5 to 7,000. But we've got 12,800. So yeah, it's basically doubled in speed there. And what this equates to is slightly faster game loading times. Oh, look at that, nearly 14,000. Solid. And so yeah, this is the crucial P5 Plus Gen 4 NVMe SSD. Plugged into a Gen 4 slot. And we have 6400 megahertz CL32 RAM, and that's why these numbers are so high. $6,400 megahertz. Oh, nice. Wait for our final value and we'll be all done. There we go. So look at those speeds there, and that's all thanks to the fast RAM. Okay. So look, we're at the end of the night now. This is where we do the stress test. Only we've still got some stuff to download and install. Still got to do the updates over here, so we might not start the stress test just yet. Might not be doing that live, but rest assured that I will be doing it just like I do for every PC. It's just I don't want to sit here for ages with it being relatively boring while I wait for my slow internet to download things. Okay. Yeah, no thanks. Okay. Alright, well we'll go back to full screen and look, now's the time. If you have any other final questions or comments for me before I sign off, now's the chance to speak. Babe. She's watching cat videos. No, that's all good. Alrighty, so thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video.